Welcome to Camp 17. We are... My armpits are sweaty. My armpits are so really sweaty. I don't normally sweat my armpits. No. Really what we want to help you do is manage your safety. When we feel safe, we'll connect with people. My nostrils aren't as big as yours.
Your fight looks different. Your struggle is going to look different. It is not going to look the same as everyone else.
You're my best friend. You're my best friend.
Hi girls. I am going to start this video off with a question. Do you value connection? Do you value human connection with yourself and with other people? Most of you would probably answer, yeah, of course I do. But then let's go a little deeper. Some of you might say, no, I don't. I've been hurt too many times. I don't need to connect to other people. I don't need that. Ain't nobody got time for that. But let's take this a different, like a step deeper, a level deeper. What if it asks something of you? What if it goes deeper than just connecting with people every day? Let's talk about the good. Let's talk about the bad. Give me some parenting tips. Give me some dieting tips. Give me some workout tips. Give me some relationship tips. Because I got in an argument with my spouse the other day and or this happened, right? So there's the everyday, there's the talking about stuff every day, the stuff that's going on right now. That kind of connection. But what I'm talking about is I'm talking about a deeper level. I'm talking about empathy. I'm not talking about sympathy. I'm not talking about compassion. I'm talking about empathy. I'm talking about plugging in to another human. You are being affected by what is going on in their life. Willingly. You are willing to say, okay, I'm going to plug into this story right now, and I'm going to feel what is coming out of this story. Camp 17, our definition of empathy is the ability to connect, feel, and understand the pain and struggle of another, no matter the discomfort. So you take that plug, you plug it into their story, you plug it into the conversation, you plug it into the moment. How do you do that? Now, empathy isn't just something that just all of a sudden comes. It's not all of a sudden just like this choice that you make. It's practiced. And it's very difficult if you did not grow up with empathy as a child to be able to practice it or even know what it looks or feels like as an adult. So for some of you, this might be a go-to. It might be something that is very easy for you to do. Others, it's difficult. And it's not difficult because you're a horrible human being or because you don't value connection. It might be, not that you're a horrible human being, but it might be that you don't value connection, right? And we can talk about that. We can talk about the whys. We can talk about the reasons behind those things. But it is actually very difficult to do if you didn't grow up with it, if you didn't experience it. That's why we say it's an ability. It is a practice. So story for story, right? So let's look at like sympathy is disconnect. Sympathy is oh, I feel sorry for you. Oh, I feel sorry for the situation. You could even have this for yourself as well. You could have sympathy for yourself. You could have, it kind of looks more like self-pity, unfortunately. Here, let's just like cut right to the chase. Let's just cut right to it. When we have sympathy for ourselves, when we're like, oh, because we're actually disconnected from any action that we could take to make it better. And when that happens, it's like distance, where then you then are looking at your situation, you're just going, oh, it's so sad, so like you could say that it's sad, because there are definitely situations that are sad, that are awful, that were horrible. But when we talk about empathy with another human, and when let's take two stories, for instance. Let's take a story of, like, let's say, like in my case, my story, my life. I've had lots of ups and downs. I've had lots of ups and downs. I've had family members die. I've had family members have cancer. My brother, I'm 33 right now. My brother died when I was 20 years old. And it was a sudden death, very, very sudden. And when I meet someone who has had a brother, specifically a brother, sometimes just a sibling, or sometimes even a family member that has passed away, I feel a deep connection with them. Because I know, even though relationships with siblings and loved ones vary on levels of intensity or depth, or how you're connected to those people, and when they pass, some could be affected by them greater than others, and I understand that. But I also understand that when you grow up with siblings, you grow up with them. They're with you, and so there's a common ground there. When I see or when I hear that someone else has a brother who's passed away, I go immediately right to them. Not so I can share my story, but just because I know that it's important to talk about. And I know that it's uncomfortable for people to talk about it when they don't understand that. And it's not something that needs to be talked about all the time, but it is something that needs to be processed. Just as humans, we need to process it. Whether it makes us angry, whether it makes us sad, upset, whatever it is, it needs to be processed. And it's not pushing process on anyone, it's just connecting with them. And so when I hear of this happening with other people, I go and I sit, because I know how important it is to sit. Now, there could be other things that I have no idea the level of connection that's needed in a situation, like, let's say someone who is molested by their father, who was their husband or their boyfriend or someone in their family, someone they knew tried to kill them. Right, so you look at the intensity of these situations. I'm trying to pick something that's a little more rare than the passing of a loved one, unfortunately. That's a little bit more common than the others. And so when you look at that, it would be hard for me to sit and listen to somebody who's like, let's say their father tried to kill them. And I sit next to them and I'm like, I couldn't even imagine this. So I can either I could either sit and spend time, and that is really what it is spending time asking questions and connecting with someone and saying, wow, I have no idea how this feels. And then maybe ask a question and sit, and still you might leave without even understanding. But the easiest way to bring yourself to that situation is actually to take your own father and go, okay, if my father tried to do this, I couldn't even imagine him trying to do that. I don't know what I would do if he tried to do that, right? And so then there's then the connection. But sometimes that takes patience and that takes understanding, right? It really does. And that might not be where you're at, even in that type of situation. But let's just say in your fitness journey. Let's say 6 months from now, you look back at Camp 17, you look back at even whatever it is, if you look back at a year ago and you say, okay, I chose to start eating well and moving and exercising, you at that point made a choice, and it was hard then. And you might, after a couple weeks, you may have had a couple, you may have flown off the wagon. You may have gotten bumped off the wagon. You might have, right? You might have fallen and needed somebody to help you back up. But let's fast forward to a year and you are doing fantastic. You're doing well. And you have somebody who's just starting their fitness journey right now. And they're saying, man, I ate a cheeseburger for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, and it wasn't just one, it was 4. And you look at him and you're like, oh, well, gosh, well, you got your problems and I have mine, where now you're on your high horse when you forget what it was like to be back there. Right? You forget what it was like to be back there and struggle with those cravings and struggle with those, the changes, the challenges that come with change, with making difficult choices, right? You forget that. Because what happens is then we're actually able to go back and sit with that person and say, hey, I remember I sat and ate a full pizza one night. An entire pizza. I drank an entire bottle of wine, and then I downed half a gallon of ice cream. And they go, oh, and they see where you are today, and they see that you are fit, that you are well, that you are able, that you're eating well, that you're exercising, but you too had a couple falls off the wagon, rather than stand and just be like, I don't have the time to listen to this person complain about their cravings and whatever, just get over it. No, we've got to remember that our strengths are not just for us. They are for other people. Our strength is for others around us. If we choose, if we value connection, if we value other humans, if we value their stories fully, even if it means understanding something that sounds absolutely ridiculous to you, it matters. They matter. It's not just an about face because it's hard or it makes you uncomfortable, or because it's asking you to be patient. Now, let's say you've talked to this person. You found understanding. They feel understood, which might take a while. Might have to ask some questions, right? Might take a while. They feel understood. There's an understanding. They say, yes, I want out of this hole. I want out of this place. I want healing. I want to move forward. And you say, yes, okay, now what are you going to do? And then they tell you, okay, when I have a craving, when I do this, I'm going to stay strong even though it's hard, and I'm not going to complain about it even if I make a mistake, right? And then I'm going to get back on and I'm going to keep moving forward. And you say, yes, you are. Then the next week they say, oh, I ate 6 cheeseburgers again for breakfast. And you're like, why the heck would you eat cheeseburgers for breakfast? But anyway, say, remember what we talked about before? And they say yes, and you're like, okay, you're better than this. Let's we don't need to sit and listen to this whole story again, because you've established a common ground. You've listened and you guys were both eye to eye, and you are now helping them out of that hole. You're helping them forward, right? So empathy isn't just about sitting and feeling, but it's offering hope. It's offering hope, it's offering perspective, but sometimes it is healing. It's just healing to have somebody listen to you and understand you. But if we continue to find ourselves back in that place of it being a pity party, party of one. Pity, party of one. Pity parties are for one person. That's it. Don't, when people invite you to their pity parties, pump the brakes. Say, whoa, 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 what's going on here? Ask questions. Get to the bottom of it. Right? Because connection is important. Helping people is important. So if there are parts of your story that you have yet to sift through, that you have yet to find victory in, that you have yet to find healing in, it will be hard to offer those parts of your story as examples and as hope for others. It really will. The most common ones are those of divorce, those of children that you might have kids who misbehave, who get horrible grades, who mistreat other people. You might have little angels. You may have had seasons with your kids where they were crazy. But yet in that season, you may have felt like it reflected on who you were as a mom or who you are as a person. And so you don't want to share those stories with other people because it might make you look bad. Right? But if we didn't learn anything from those mistakes, if we didn't learn anything, then we're not going to be able to share those stories. But sometimes we shut them back, we shut them off, we shove them back behind us, and we say, they don't really matter. So let's just put them over here. But actually they do matter. They might not matter for you. They do actually. But we won't get to that in this video. They actually matter to help other people plug into their stories and other people find healing and hope. So what's the risk? The risk is that you share something with someone and they go and tell somebody else. They go right away and they go to say, oh, will you believe that Chantel did this and Chantel did that? And oh my gosh, part of her story is this. Can you believe that? Well, that says more about them than it does actually about you. Right? What Susie says of Sally says more of Susie than it does of Sally. It really does. What you choose to say about other people says more about you than it does about them. So, are you women who are trustworthy? Do you have people around you that you trust that you can share your story? You can share your aches and your pains and your struggle, and because we all struggle, we all have pain, especially if we want to be better women. If we are acting on the statement when we say that we do want to be better women, we want the best versions of us. If we want that, it's not easy. It's not an invitation to easy. We do not hand out invitations to easy. We hand out invitations to the real deal, the real you, all in all. So, ladies, do you have people around you that you can trust? And are you trustworthy? See you in class.